Hi, I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. If you've been looking at our website, starborninstitute.org, you would already know that the title of tonight's show is actually a question. And the question is, who is lying? And the reason why you might be asking yourself that question this next week is because the planets are set up in a way to be a little bit incongruous, and yet within their own elements they're working just fine. So I don't think that something is really going to gel this week because somebody is lying, and we need to figure out who that could be. The reason why things can look and sound just fine, and why it might be a little bit hard to tell who's telling a stretcher right now, is because there are 4 planets that are all trining each other beautifully in the fire signs. Mars is in Leo, trining Uranus in Aries, and together they are trining 2 planets in Sagittarius, Venus and the moon. And so fire signs like action. They like to simply follow through on something the minute that they have an impulsive idea, and that could really happen this week. So there could be somebody who's full of bluster, who may want to even the score on something, may want to make a quick strike or a lightning strike, or if they're mad, they could even want to try an attack again. The reason why somebody might try to repeat some sort of attack or malicious behavior is because Uranus is retrograde, and since it's in Aries, the sign of new beginnings, it means somebody could want to try something that represents a new beginning because they might have failed the first time around, or if a new beginning does look like it's getting underway, they might want to try to stop it. So there can be an enraged competitor that could suddenly strike hard or criticize somebody right out of the blue, and that could be because they want to create a little smoke and mirrors. They want to cover something up, or else they simply don't want to admit they made a mistake. They may try to blame it on someone else instead. At the same time, there are 4 planets in the water signs, and they're all trining each other too. Jupiter in Cancer is trining Neptune in Pisces, and together they are both trining Mercury and Saturn, which are tightly conjunct in Scorpio right now. Remember that Scorpio rules justice, and it is a fixed financial sign. So these planets in the water signs, which denote our emotions, and they denote healing, and they are concerned with feelings and with family members and home matters and with dreams and with financing in order to make a dream come true or to keep a family member happy. Those planets, because they're all entwined to each other, means that there can be people around that can really give a lot of moral support to you right now, and they could even give you some financial support. Although because Mercury is conjuncting Saturn, and Saturn is a planet of restriction as well as stability, it simply means that there could be news now about the fact that there isn't enough money, or that the bills are very high, or the taxes have to go up, or credit is overstretched in one way or another. So somebody could be looking very affluent right now, and they could be really broke. They'd be lying, or they'd be putting on some sort of front or creating a smoke and mirrors image. And that's why you need to be a little bit careful this week and ask yourself, who is lying? Because there is the possibility that a lot of people can be arguing now instead, and the reason for that is that there are 4 more planets, and they are in cardinal signs, all harshly squaring and opposing each other. And because they're in cardinal signs, it simply means each faction could think that their viewpoint is the only right one, and that's why they're not agreeing with anybody else at all. It makes compromise very difficult. And so the main gist of what's going on this week is that people with good intentions, as denoted by the sun in Libra, remember Libra rules peace and compromise and good intentions. So people like that who simply just want to get along right now can be talking about their good ideas, but there is a tremendous difference between a good intention and being deeply committed to something, and committed so much that you would be committed all the way through to make sure that something or someone was going to survive now. So good intentions are nice sounding words, but a deep commitment is something completely different. And what we need to ask ourselves is, who's lying? Who is only full of intention and has no intention of keeping their promises? And then who is rather quiet but could probably go the distance and really make a difference in our lives? That's what we need to really discover this week. All right, what does it mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Well, Aries, for you, I think that there is the possibility that someone is telling a little stretcher, Aries. It may not be you. It could be somebody who is enraged and is very competitive and is full of bluster and is arrogant at the same time. And they could be pressing you or pressing your buttons to get you to do something in a big hurry, Aries. Okay, that's clue, Aries, that you shouldn't be listening to them at all. Because you see, the problem is that fire and water do not mix and as elements, and in fact they're not compatible because water puts the fire out. Just remember that, Aries, because there are an equal number of planets in water signs that are just as strong as any of the planets in the fire signs. And there are people that are continually going to be arguing with each other. And so that whole mix of incompatibility is why some people may be lying right now or putting on a false front. And somebody could be goading you into something without telling you the whole story. And if you react very, very quickly or in an angry way or decide you're just going to rebel, you could really regret it, because you could be judged harshly for that, Aries, and it would cost you more than it was worth. And that is because Pluto is squaring your sun, Jupiter is squaring your sun, and the sun in Libra is opposing your sun. So you could lose big. You could lose in a lawsuit or a legal judgment. You could certainly lose some standing with your family, and you could perhaps lose your job, because management is going to stick to the rules and regulations, and they can be quite challenging to your way of thinking right now, Aries. That's why if you want to make a quick move this week, I think that you will live to regret it, and that's why I hope you consider the cost before you zoom ahead. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, this is simply a time when I think you may get some sad news. And the reason why it can be sad news is because you have been beleaguered all month by the fact that Mars is in Leo and it is squaring your sun, Taurus, harshly. And that simply means that somebody else wants to have everything their own way. They're very, very competitive, and they could have been putting pressure on you. But that's not where the sad news is coming from. That's where the stress is coming from in your life. The sad news can be coming from the fact that Mercury and Saturn in Scorpio are also squaring your sun. And since they are so closely conjunct in Scorpio, and it is a financial sign, they're not squaring your sun, they're squaring Mars, which is a harsh aspect, and they are opposing your sun sign. And that simply means that since Mercury is a planet of news and it is conjuncting Saturn, that planet of restriction, in Scorpio, which rules other people's money or the value of assets, it can be that you receive sad news this week, Taurus, because you may have been counting on some money coming to you that is not going to make it. Or it can be that the money that you would hoped would come in comes in, but the costs are so high that are associated with it that you could still be short. And so that's what I think is going to happen this week. Something you've been counting on, sadly enough, is not really going to be coming your way, and it would be financial. And so I think that you'll just have to live with it. This is not a easy time for you in the short term, but remember, since Pluto is trining your sun, your long-term interests are not being harmed in any way, and that's because Pluto is now direct, and so that simply means that if you can just hold on, Taurus, things will get better. But this is probably going to be a week when you receive sad news related to finances, and I think it's money you thought would be coming your way, but it's not going to. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, this is simply a time when you really should listen to people who have good intentions, because at least they're thinking of the future, or at least they have some ideas that can be creative. And the sun in Libra is trining your sun, Gemini. So that's who you should stick to. Rather agreeable people who may not be a ball of fire, but they do want the best right now. And that's as far as you should go, Gemini. The reason why is because it's not a good time for you to trust too many other people. And that is because Neptune in Pisces is squaring your sun, which means that there are a lot of people around that only want to tell you what they think you want to hear. They are not interested in telling you the whole story. So they could be telling little stretches right now or omitting the truth, and that's just the same as a lie. However, the moon and Venus today in Sagittarius are opposing your sun, and that simply means that somebody who could be very intelligent right now, highly educated, or from a foreign country, or somebody who has a very good standing in the community and is well respected, is going to want to say whatever is on their mind. They may be issuing some sort of declaration, and you'll have to step back and just listen to them right now, because that's 3 planets in the mutable signs that are in harsh aspect to your sun, Gemini. So I don't think this is a very good week for you to say too much. Instead, you could try to be a good listener, because that you may be able to pick up some good ideas that would help you in your future. Otherwise, I think you should just sort of stand back and try to be a good listener. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer, this is the time when I think that you'll have to be a little bit careful, because yours is a cardinal sign. And remember, I said there are 4 planets in cardinal signs in a grand cross right now, all squaring and opposing each other. So there are a lot of people that are coming from their own viewpoint, but it is not anywhere near your viewpoint, Cancer. Luckily, there are 4 planets in a grand trine in the water signs. So Jupiter in your sign is being trined by Neptune in Pisces, and also by Mercury and Saturn in Scorpio. That Mercury and Saturn in Scorpio denote somebody who is not full of bluster at all, who is very experienced. Saturn is the planet of time, remember. And so that person really deserves your backing right now, Cancer, because somebody is going to have to straighten things out, and somebody is going to have to ensure that justice is done, and that if there are shortages financially, that they can come in and perhaps turn that around so that many people can survive, including you, Cancer. So this is the time to trust somebody who is not talking a lot, but who has a great deal of maturity and experience, and they need your support and your trust. Because I think they are going to be either a person, or they're going to be some sort of force that comes in and would represent a sort of a tough person who really does know how to make things right. And that's because they've been there and they've done it already. And that is why I think some tough warhorse is going to reluctantly get back in the saddle again and really help people straighten out their problems, perhaps even countries straighten out their problems. And that is somebody who deserves your support right now, Cancer. So I hope you're there to give it, because they're there not for their own good, but to help everyone survive right now. And this is a time of constrained circumstances and tight budgets. And it does need somebody who really knows how to get over failure and turn failure into success. And I think that person is around. And they may not even want to take the mantle of responsibility, but they've had it before and they've done well. So I think they're going to take it again for the good of all of us. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, this is a time when you might have exaggerated just a little bit. In other words, Leos always like to be sunny, and they do like to be extravagant, but the money's not there anymore, Leo, and it isn't necessarily your fault unless you've been misleading people. So if you've told a little stretcher or maybe a big stretcher lately, or if you've taken a gamble on something, you certainly are aware by now that you have lost some sort of gamble, and that could make you want to create an illusion of success, or you may not want to admit a mistake, or you could have just been very busy sort of burning your energy at a very high level, and this is a time when you could be a little bit angry that people are not responding as favorably to you as you may have wanted. But you could initiate, if you're being competitive right now, you could initiate some sort of fierce attack in order to get what you want. You could even try to initiate some sort of grab, or even put on some sort of a con, or give a lot of hype out right now, and certainly appear different than the way situations are in your life right now. If you try that, you could be successful, Leo, and that is because there is a grand trine in fire signs. But the problem is that Mercury and Saturn in Scorpio are squaring Mars in your sign. So even if you are successful from the grand trine in fire signs, and you're able to strike out right now in some way that you think will guarantee success, the problem is there isn't enough money to sustain it. In other words, you don't have enough money to follow through on anything. And that is why somebody has got to come along who isn't full of bluster, who isn't lying, who has a lot of experience, and they've got to set things right for everybody, including you, Leo. And that is because the budgets are too tight right now, or the debt is too high. And that could be your debt, Leo. And so I hope that you instead decide to compromise, because the sun is in Leo. And you know, getting a little bit of what you want is better than not getting any. So just remember that, Leo. Maybe you can't have everything your own way, but if you compromise, you can be seen as being quite willing to go along with others, and that can make you popular. So I hope you consider that. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, this is a time when I think you too should not be trusting everybody. And the reason why is that Venus and the moon in Sagittarius today are squaring your sun, and Neptune in Pisces is opposing your sun. And because that Venus and the moon are squaring your sun, it simply means somebody else can be spinning a little bit of a yarn right now, telling their side of something, and it would be certainly to their advantage. In other words, they may be leaving out a few facts. And since your sign does rule details and facts, I suggest before you believe what anybody says, Virgo, check what they say, write it down, go and look it up, get a second opinion, and make sure that somebody's really telling you the whole truth, not just the part that makes them look good, because I'm afraid that that could be happening to you right now. And so if you have any doubt about anything, I would say hold off and wait. And that is because somebody is spinning a yarn right now, and if you can't find out who the real culprit is, at least don't sign anything right now, Virgo. Simply check your facts first, and if you're going to talk to anybody, present the facts, not your opinion on something, okay? You'll be on firmer ground. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, this is simply a time with the sun in your sign that, yes, you can have a lot of good intentions or good ideas about how to fix things in the future. After all, the sign of the future, Aquarius, trines your sun, and Gemini, the sign that rules short-term projects and temporary efforts and communication and change, also trines your sun. So although you can be full of good intentions, there are not a lot of people that are agreeing with you, except the ones that have their minds on the future. And that isn't enough to really get your ideas off the ground and underway right now. And money is short. So if you're a little bit patient, Libra, I think you can be talking to the right people who are interested in your ideas, but that might be as far as it goes. On the other hand, with Pluto in Capricorn squaring your sun, Jupiter in Cancer squaring your sun, and Uranus in Aries opposing your sun sign, you have to watch out for changes that can happen with lightning speed right now, because they would be harmful. And you do not want to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, Libra. So I hope that you just continue to talk about your creative ideas right now to people who are receptive. And if anyone wants to argue, I hope you're just real quiet and walk away, Libra. It would be the safest thing to do. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, this is simply a time when there can be a period of quiet contemplation by you about the idea of taking on more responsibility. Perhaps not because you want to, but because you've had experience and been successful at something and you know you can do it again. And this is a time when the world really needs the help of very experienced people who are not trying to cover anything up. They're not lying about anything. And in fact, they're not even bragging about anything. They're letting their track record speak for itself. That's what I think you're doing right now, Scorpio. And yet, if people are urging you to help them in one way or another, I think that you really should. Or if you need help in getting together some working solution on something, there will be people that will help you with that as well. Or if you're involved with something that is involving a dream, something that you really believe in, that you're very committed to, this is a good time for you to get a lot more serious about that and commit yourself to it. And the reason why is that if you don't make a sincere effort that helps people survive right now, they possibly will not be able to. And that is because there's a lot of people that have malicious ideas in the world right now, and they could attack. And why be on defense, Scorpio? Take the offensive right now and get back in the saddle. I think that you need to. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarius? Well, Sagittarius, this is a time when you can have the very best intentions and you can articulate them very well right now. So you may be able to join up with someone else that has good intentions because the sun in Libra is sextiling your sun sign where you have the moon and Venus. So you're not in a war-making mood. You don't have a grudge against anybody. In fact, you want the best for everyone. And because of your charitable attitude right now, I think others who are thinking that way can join up with you. So there may be a beneficial partnership on your horizon, and it could be your immediate horizon, as long as you don't react to angry people who can stir you up and make you believe their lies. Don't fall for that right now, Sagittarius. Instead, think of the highest and the greatest good and go for that instead. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, this is simply a time now that Pluto is direct in your sign that I think that you are not going to waver in any way. That means you've got some choices to make, Capricorn, because there's a whole lot of people that don't agree with you right now because they have their own agendas. Remember, yours is a cardinal sign, and it is caught up in this grand cross of cardinal signs. So Jupiter in Cancer is opposing your sun. The sun in Libra is squaring your sun, and Uranus in Aries is also squaring your sun. So you are going to have to stay on your own path, Capricorn, and follow your own commitment. And if there isn't enough money, you're going to have to go find some quiet people that can help you out in one way or another. But a lot of people are not focusing on what you want. Does that mean you should give up? No, Capricorn. It means you may be having to go it alone right now, but as long as your vision is clear and you are determined and you are following best practices in whatever you're going to do, then I say go for it. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, you absolutely have to give up on something right now. And the reason why is you can choose to keep batting coming up against somebody who represents jealousy and competition and anger, and that is because Mars in Leo is opposing your sun. So there could be somebody around that has really made your life miserable, particularly in the last month or two, Aquarius, and you've just got to detach. Okay, it's enough of that, Aquarius, because the sun is in Libra. It's trining your sun. Somebody with good intentions, and maybe they don't have all the energy that you do, but at least they have some bright ideas. You could hook up with a person like that right now, Aquarius, and you need to. You need new friends, and you need friends that are a little more lighthearted to take you away from the stress you have been under lately. There isn't enough money around, and there isn't going to be unless somebody comes along and fixes a few problems, big financial problems. There are experienced people around that can do that, but we need to let them. And so you need to step aside and lighten up a little bit right now and end an association that is not doing you any good. In fact, all it has done is harm you. And so you've got to call it quits, Aquarius, and look for someone new. You will really enjoy that. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, this is simply a time when you need to be a little bit careful because, yes, there is a grand trine in water signs. So Jupiter in Cancer is trining Neptune in your sign, and together they're both trining Mercury and Saturn in Scorpio. So you, just like Cancer, need to be very supportive of somebody who is very serious. They're not talking about all their accomplishments, but they have an excellent track record. They're not bragging about anything, but they are deeply committed to the greater good, particularly to helping people get out of debt or helping solve financial problems right now. And that is what we all need. We need somebody who's got the experience and the know-how to help everyone. And they deserve your support right now, Pisces, so I hope you give it to them. On the other hand, with the Moon and Venus in Sagittarius squaring your Sun, it simply means that somebody could be telling you, selling you a little blue sky right now, Pisces, and telling you about wonderful things that they have on their mind, but that may not prove to be completely true. So the question this week will be, who's lying? It doesn't matter if they're just telling a little white lie or if they're omitting things that can create confusion, or if they are goading somebody on because they're motivated by anger or jealousy. Whatever the cause is, if you doubt what anybody is saying, you have really got to step back and not believe them at all. All right. Let's all be really cautious this week, and remember, you can see the show anytime you want on our website, starborninstitute.org. Bye.